This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk. A little beautiful Wednesday afternoon. It is gorgeous outside. The weather's turning around for all of us, so it should be a fun one today. You know, yesterday on the program, we talked quite a bit off the top about the basically the shutdown of sports radio in Western Canada by Rogers. Perfect timing. Shout out to Remis. Jonah Siegel, who does the account YYZ Sports Media, a must follow if you're into sports business, broadcasting in Canada. He's going to join us right off the top of the first guest segment. I'm really looking forward to that. I think he's been on the show before when I was away, but I've been a longtime follower and very interested to see what he has to say, not only about the future of the medium and the format, but also the optics of Rogers spending over $4 billion to buy the rest of MLSE, and then the very next day putting a bullet into properties that include the radio rights for the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames less than 24 hours later. So that'll be an interesting one. We'll also talk about, you know, the direction of the National Hockey League when it comes to adding streamers, the new broadcast deal. And John Shannon's going to jump on a little later on. I know John's going to have something to say about that. We'll also get his thoughts on the offseason, the pending decision for the Anaheim Ducks on the Leo Carlsson offer sheet, and much, much more. In between that, we are going to have a visit from our good friend Murat. Murat, always a fan favorite on the program. Where to now for the Hellebuck situation, as well as the offseason. We'll get his thoughts on what he saw from Viggo Bjork over the course of development camp. A little later on, Pat Gregoire is going to join us as well, which reminds me, tonight, folks, we're back at it with WST Poker. 8 p.m. tonight. Would love to see you out there. And don't forget, the top two finishers tonight are going to get spots in the final in the second week of August. There'll be kind of 10, 12 people or so in that final. And the winner of that is going to be going to a massive European poker event in Estonia in the first week of September, the Coolbet Open, all taken care of by our friends at Coolbet. So it is an absolutely amazing prize. We'll still have the bounty on my head and Hammer's head tonight. So I hope to see you out if you've played before, and certainly if you haven't before, this is a great time to get in because you got the added bonus of the carrot of being in the top two to hooking up with that trip to Estonia. A little bit quiet on the Bomber front right now. No open practices. They'll be doing a closed practice and then a walkthrough and then game day. We may hear from the Bombers a little later on. We'll stay on top of that if we do have any information. Obviously, the big question right now is who's going to be behind center? Who's playing quarterback for the Bombers this week? Is it Zach Caleros? Can he go? If it's not him, is it Taylor Elgersma? Is Drew Brown even going to be on the roster and in pads? So that'll be a topic as well. We'll be kicking around over the course of the next kind of 24 hours before we get going with the with game day on Friday. And man, it should be good. Like, I'm looking at the forecast right now. This is time. We got Michael Grajewski from Travel Manitoba on the program tomorrow. We'll kick around, a little bit of a non-sports segment with some great things to do beat the heat. But speaking of the heat, I mean, obviously we've had a lot of rain more so in some parts of the province than others. But, 29 and sunny for the Bomber game on Friday night. By the way, less than 2,000 tickets sold are available for that one. Let's make it 17 in a row. Grab your tickets, and let's fill that place one more time. This weekend looks insane. 31 and sunny, 33 and sunny on Sunday, and 30s basically right through until next week. So the sun is here. The summer is here. And, hey, we'll look forward to that big game on Friday night for the Bombers, but big questions to be asked before we get to that point. So, and, of course, no World Cup tonight, which is actually perfect. I didn't plan the poker tournament tonight because there was no World Cup action. But I think many of you who are in the same boat as me wondering, like, what am I going to do with my life now that there's no World Cup game today? Join us at 8 p.m. over at Coolbet. And again, just click on poker. You'll go into the poker software, click on tournaments, and then just there's a little magnifying glass. If you put in WST, you will see it 8 p.m. tonight. Let's do this. Remo's going to join me in just a minute. Do want to thank all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Spend a lot of time thinking about the support we get from all of you. And all of our sponsors in the aftermath of the bad news yesterday in Calgary and Vancouver. Of course, our partners over at Coolbet, Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Our friends at Little Brown Jug, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Breezy Bend and Aikens Lake, Manitoba Battery, Travel Manitoba, the Gold Eyes, Assiniboia Downs. We do have live racing tonight. Gold Eyes back in action on the weekend starting on Friday night with Boy Band Night. The great people over at Rowley's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Dr. Terry and his team. And, of course, we got a good why not question of the day, which I think we're going to get out right off the top of the program once we bring in Michael Remis to the program. Remo, what's up?
Yes, just enjoying a beautiful day here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Happy to be back on another summer edition. Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. So many topics to get to here.
This would have been one of those days to maybe set up shop outside to do it. Like, it is absolutely glorious right now. Not quite as hot as it's going to get on the weekend. So, yeah, for you World Cup people, it's a good day maybe to get outside and play a little bit. But you can hopefully join us tonight. I see Mr. Spills is here. Jump on in. You look good. You would look good. Coming up into Estonia for the big tourney. Elias McCracken, I see a VST and CST to add to WST and EST in your future. Yeah, you know what? Just on that, and again, we'll get into it a little bit more with Jonah when he joins us. I was texting and DMing with a few of the fellows that I was close with at the Calgary station that I'd worked with at 960. And, it's just absolute deja vu. And you know what the crazy thing about this, Reem? Obviously, there's the optics of the whole Toronto thing with the buying the MLSE the day before. But especially in Calgary, to be as tone deaf as that company is, to do it right in the middle of Stampede, when reportedly pretty much all employees were at a company event for Stampede, was when things went down. So, it was pretty hard to avoid it on social media yesterday, though, because, much like what happened, February 9th, 2021 to us in Vancouver and Hamilton, I'm not sure people realize how connected sports fans are to these radio stations. And hopefully now the new spots that, content like ours has landed. But man, you turn off the stream or the feed, and you hear it loudly from people that just basically went about their business every day, often listening to multiple hours of content from those stations.
And we hear it all the time, how it's just on in the background. You're listening on drives. We've heard a number of people that it's, getting them through, the day, and just turn it off like that. No goodbye, no warning to the people. And the report was that they didn't even tell the Flames that they were ending it. And like the Flames, the Calgary, who owns the Flames, they also have Wranglers and Hitmen. And like they just left them in the lurch there. It's crazy just to pull the plug. I thought these companies would like learn, but I guess, people don't care about bad publicity because, it just blows over and you move on to the next thing. So I'm sure that's what they're thinking about this, but it's going to leave a huge hole if you're a hockey fan in Vancouver or Calgary this upcoming year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Calgary situation is particularly dark. And, for such a big city, and listen, I'm not going to start ranting about Toronto with everything being centralized. It's more about, corporate borderline monopolies centralizing out there and just having no connection to Western Canada. But I mean, Calgary right now, as of this moment, Rogers is shut down. There's no more sports station, which served the Flames, the Wranglers, and the Hitmen, as you mentioned. I believe the Stampeders are with one of the chorus station there. TSN doesn't even have a reporter in Calgary now. And I mean, for a long time, it's great that Danielle Bain's here. I'm not sure Danielle Bain would be here, or in fact, I would expect she wouldn't be here if the Jets weren't a TSN property. But I mean, Calgary's just been completely left behind. And I mean, Vancouver always felt alienated from the East. And that's even more so right now. So we're going to get into that with, we're going to get to that coming up with Jonah Siegel when he joins us in a few minutes. Did you catch the end of the World Cup last night, Reem?
Penalties.
The game afterwards?
Penalties.
The drama of penalties.
Where do you land on penalties in soccer? Like, game can't go on forever. Like, you got to do something, right? I mean, it's
exactly
their own
right.
team.
Like, I remember back when I was a bit more of a hater.
Yeah.
Of which I have done a complete. Well, I wasn't really a big hater, but I mean, put it this way, a lot of the soccer people came across to me as sort of snobs earlier in my life. Like, you call it soccer. Well, yeah, I'm from North America. Football here is American football. That's just the way that it is. So, get over it. But there was this air of, we're so cultured and so much better than you because we love soccer. And it kind of turned me off a little bit, which maybe was an immature reaction. But now that, I've been watching it and especially getting into, the last number of World Cups and the big things, I totally get the penalties. And I mean, that's the bottom line in this is that, these guys can't play forever. I mean, England at the end of that Mexico match, I joked yesterday that if Mexico had managed to tie it at 3 at the end of 90 minutes, they probably win 7-3 in extra time because the altitude in that game, those guys were just absolutely dead. That'll happen anyways with the addition of 30 more minutes of game action. So you have to end these games somehow, and it is very cruel. Like Colombia is out, huge disappointment for them. Well, they never lost a game, but they also didn't win, and they weren't able to make it through. And I will say this, the drama of the penalties in the World Cup with the stakes being so high, happening only once every 4 years, it's almost unparalleled in sports, to be honest, Reem. And, would you love to play to a golden goal? Sure, it's just not realistic. It's not possible. And that's why I think the more you watch it, the more you understand a lot of the things in the game are there for a reason. And that's one of it. And now I sort of embrace it. And it's not fun if your team's in it. But I was so captivated yesterday by the match, which was a 0-0 match. It wasn't really as good as many of the other ones that we'd seen. But man, did the penalties deliver the drama. The Swiss move on. The Argentines, the only South American team left in the tournament. And they had their own crazy scare yesterday. And I tell you what, I mean, for an evening that didn't have much going on sports-wise, we sure had a lot once we finished the program yesterday. I flipped over from the soccer game to check out what was going on at Wimbledon just in time to see our guy Felix Auger-Aliassime go to a 5th set tiebreaker against the incomparable Novak Djokovic. It was the Joker that came through, but man, what a great run for Felix. So yeah, there was a lot going on, but back to your question in a long-winded way. I get the penalties. You don't want to be in it if your team's life is depending on it, but it's a necessary evil. And once you get around that, it is, you certainly aren't turning away.
No, I mean, the drama is incredible, especially with World Cup. You're thinking, okay, what's the goalie going to do? What's the shooter going to do? And you're right. England was so toast at the end of that. And, you play, if you don't want, play differently and try to score, Huss. So it's on the teams. If you're tied, they've decided, hey, as penalties, teams can get more aggressive if they want into the extra time. But they all know the rules about penalties. And again, incredible drama. And Switzerland coming out on top there over Colombia.
Yeah, a couple times over the course of this, I've been talking World Cup and I've been all fired up about it. And I've got that old, soccer sucks. These guys are all wimps and sort of thing. And I mean, I feel bad for people that still hold that because, I mean, once you if you give it a chance and get into it and understand, the everything that goes into a World Cup, the stakes, how important it is worldwide, why this isn't just something that we, far from it. I mean, it's not as much our game. We're adopting it, but it's played around the world. There is so much there's so much to enjoy. And it's been cool with some friends that were in that situation maybe years ago and how much they've gotten into it. But there is a ton of people that continue to say, you know what, I never really was into this before, but right now this is as good as it gets. This is crazy, and I'm going to quote our Logan Paul tweet on this program. But just on this, I think he absolutely nails this. But I'm just going to read this to you. I've never been a soccer fan, but wow, I watched most of this tournament, and the World Cup has amazed me. Here's some of the things I've realized about the sport. And keep in mind, he's in WWE now, as a regular in WWE. He goes, soccer is wildly physical. These players push, shove, and beat the shit out of each other, and a lot of it goes unnoticed by the refs. You got to be extremely durable to thrive on the pitch. Number 2, so much theater. These guys sell being hurt better than some of my peers in the WWE. And this is what it is. I know we sometimes groan when we see guys rolling around. The reason for this is you got to get the call. I mean, I think it is. It's such a big area. Did the ref see you get fouled? And that is an element to it. And I don't know if that's ever really going to change as much as it drives some hockey and American football for your fans. Gets into the penalty kicks. Gets into the referees that completely screw the game, players and entire nations with one call. That's not good. But this one, the event may be the closest thing to world unity. All eyes on these athletes on the biggest stage of the world. Superstars are made, careers forever changed. New fan. So the wisdom of Logan Paul coming out. But as a WWE guy, I think he gets it a lot because there is an element of selling that certainly turns some people off, but it is part of the game. And if you can sort of hold your nose to some of that, man, these guys are some of the best athletes in the world, and the quarterfinals should be amazing. We're going to have Jonah Siegel coming up in just a couple minutes. But Rima, I want to put out the why not question of the day for not Autocorp, but Waverly and McGillivray to the gang in the chat and to you. And a good friend of ours hit us up today and asked, guys, Jet fans, who do you hate? And I'm like, on their own team? No. Like opponents. Most hated players in the league. And, there's some of the usual suspects. My immediate clear number one, and anyone that's watched this program for a long time will not be surprised that Ryan Hartman from the Minnesota Wild, is right up there at the top of that list. I kind of think of more some of the holdovers. I mean, you mentioned Jamie Benn when we were talking about it before. Obviously, there's Marchand, there's Corey Perry. I didn't have a long list, though, in the division for the Winnipeg Jets. Like, and it's kind of funny. I think of Colorado. Like, there's not really a guy that just jumps out that I can't stand on that team. I mean, Utah, not really. I mean, to me, it kind of comes down, and maybe this just comes from the playoff series. Maybe this is why Gary has it the way that it is. Like, Minnesota and Dallas are sort of the two teams that I look at with guys that I really can't stand.
Yeah, Murat, I don't know if Murat's doing a column or something. You can ask him when he comes on. But he's like, which player do Jets fans hate? And for me, the easiest pick was Ryan Hartman. I remember his hit on Nikolai Ehlers, knocked him out of the playoffs, second last game of the year, completely dirty interference, slash Cole Perfetti in the face, only got a fine for that. Thankfully, he's so skilled with the stick, just barely cut him. Could have been way worse. So that was the easy one for me. He said a lot of people said Corey Perry to him, which I haven't seen anyone in chat say. I did think Jamie Benn from the playoff series, and the Jets have gone up against Dallas. They've had fights. He's been in a lot of fights.
Corey Perry gets the Lifetime Achievement Award, probably from teams of just about every NHL team, because he's played so long, he's played for so many teams. Guaranteed he's done some rat work to a player on your team at some point, and he would definitely be on that list.
If I had to stick with Minnesota, Marcus Foligno. Oh, he pulled the Superman punch on Brandon Dillon. I thought it looked stupid and wasn't effective. And punched Pierre-Luc Dubois in the back of the head during a scrum. That's not allowed in the UFC, Huss, but perfectly legal in the NHL.
I love when you came on the show. You cannot do that in the UFC.
You can't. You can't. So there's people out there say, oh, UFC, so barbaric, blah, blah, blah. Not quite. And I'll say one. Brady, I see a lot of people saying Matthew Tkachuk. I'm going to say Brady Tkachuk. I remember he did a spinning elbow, gave Blake Wheeler a concussion one time. I didn't like that, thought it was dirty, and pulled out the, my hand's injured, took off the glove, and wouldn't fight Logan Stanley. That was a work. I don't know if that was a real injury.
Speaking of WWE.
Yeah, speaking of WWE. So I think both Tkachuks are going to get, but we don't really see a lot of them here because they're in the East. So I think that's tough. And I'm just thinking of, like, if there's anyone on St. Louis, like, that was a 7-game playoff series. That was a total war. But there's really no one on St. Louis that you were like, F that guy. Or I can't remember.
It was a full-fledged gang fight is what that was. I mean, it was a 7-game gang fight where everyone was involved. But you're right. It wasn't one guy just running around. I mean, to be honest, the guy that really got my era was Bolduc.
Yes, I was going to say him.
And I can't believe they went and traded him right after that for Logan Mailloux. But I was impressed with Bolduc, probably because of how mad he made me. But he was the one guy that maybe stood out amongst the others for St. Louis.
I was going to say Bolduc. I thought he had a great series. And you know what? He was really like a non-factor in the playoffs. I did not hear him at all. And he played well. Was he... Like, he played 19 games. He had 7 points. It's funny. He only had 1 assist for the Blues against that series versus the Jets. But I remember him being way more effective than that. But he had a bit of a down tick in points with Montreal. But I remember not liking him. But I guess they traded him for Logan Mailloux as the Blues rebuild continues. But there wasn't really a player on the Blues throughout that series, aside from him, who were like, man, I really don't like that guy. Oh, Binnington, Cowboy says.
Yeah, well, Binner, for sure, Binner. I mean, he's a little different because of the position that he plays. We're getting some Can't Stand Perry, the Tkachuks. I mean, absolutely. That Florida team now is basically like an all-star team of most hated players in the league. You've got both Tkachuks. You've got Brad Marchand. The executioner, Radko Gudas, is now on the Florida Panthers. And the happiest guy in the world is Paul Maurice about all of that. So keep your thoughts coming in on that for the Why Not question of the day. We'll fire in a few. Sean Avery, if he were still playing. Great one, Shane Payne. Another all-time rat in the National Hockey League, and so we'll get to that. Babcock, Babs, I'm not sure is eligible in this one, but he certainly does not have a lot of fans. We're gonna have Jonah Siegel join us in just a couple minutes. So I do want to thank all the sponsors that make the show happen. We're so appreciative. Of course, our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Residential and commercial plumbing experts and Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers with 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Clean Line does it all, and most importantly, they do it when you need it. 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Remember the number 204-500-2001. You don't want to need it, but if you do need it, it'll be good to have. And the Clean Line gang will come out and help you 24/7 when you need it. And of course, if you do need an appointment, you can get online and make it there over at cleanline.ca. Proud sponsors of the Bombers, the Jets, and Winnipeg Sports Talk. Our friends at Manitoba Battery, also very excited to be corporate partners with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year. That logo sure looks good on the entrances to both the home and visitors side coming out. Manitoba Batteries, your local stop for the best in batteries. All of your battery needs solved at one spot while you can shop local, save money, get the best prices in town, period, beating the pants off the big box stores, with the best in customer service as well, as anyone that's been to Manitoba Battery will tell you. Pop by and see them on Logan Avenue or over on Dovercourt Drive. As we get into the summer, you're going to be needing batteries for your ATVs, your boat, your camper, your RV, dirt bike, motorcycle, you name it, they've got it for you. You'll save big money and you'll shop local at the same time. They've got two locations, Logan Avenue, new one in the south end on Dovercourt Drive. You can also shop online at manitobabattery.com. And don't forget that season inventory blowout on batteries right now. Limited quantities. Check them out for more details on the sale at manitobabattery.com. And do want to thank our friends at Rolly's Transfer. Busy time for Rolly's. I mean, they've been doing this, family-owned and operated for over 60 years in Manitoba. And summer's a time where a lot of people are moving. Better time to move probably than the middle of winter. But whenever you're moving, 12 months a year, Rolly's is the most trusted name in moving, and that's the gang that you want to call to help with your next move. Check them out online at rollys.com. You can check out all of their, everything that they've done, their history, their story. But most importantly, you can click on Request an Estimate in the top right corner. Use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. And then simply let them know when and where you're moving, what needs to be moved. And our gang at Rolly's will get back to you with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more, request an estimate today over at rollys.com. All right, I'm really looking forward to this next segment. As I mentioned, we spent a lot of time talking about this yesterday because it was sort of deja vu for all of us. The former TSN orphans from February 9th of 2021, they got blown out, and obviously it's been happily ever after for us now into our 6th year of Winnipeg Sports Talk. But having done a lot of work at 960 in the past, I was just gutted for friends like Pat Steinberg and Logan Gordon and Patrick Dumas, who were going through what we went through just over 5 years ago. And I've quoted his tweets hundreds of times on this program. But Jonah Siegel has a very keen eye for sports media and the industry in Canada. You can follow him on X at YYZ Sports Media. And Jonah joins us now. Thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate you coming on today.
Happy to see you again. How are you?
I'm well, but I'll be honest. Yesterday I was hit with the news first off of what happened in Vancouver. And I didn't really have many connections. I'd been on that station a couple times when the Canucks were playing the Jets. But then I heard about what happened at 960 in Calgary. And, I had gotten a call the day after TSN shut down. I didn't want to go out there because I really thought that there was a great opportunity here in Winnipeg to kind of take our content, knowing the connection we had with people in the market and how empty it was without it, being a sports radio guy my entire life. And, it was in the pandemic. So, people weren't really going in. So they basically got me on and I did the shows remotely. 2 or 3 days a week, 3 hours with Pat Steinberg after my show. And, I kind of got that whole experience of being part of a team again as Michael and I got Winnipeg Sports Talk going and established. And yesterday was tough for me. I spent about 6 hours just looking at the people that were crushed, that their station was gone, and then obviously all the what the hell do I do now tweets from a lot of really, really talented people. Just, Jonah, right off the bat, your thoughts on how Rogers can go and spend over $4 billion on MLSE one day and then literally the next day cut the cord on their presence in Western Canada.
It was a tough day, and I have to tell you, I'm in Algonquin Park right now, one of my favorite places on earth. Just around the corner is Camp Tamaqua, where I spent so many years as a camper and as a counselor. My kids were there. I'm in like the happiest place on earth right now. As a Canadian, being north is just the best. And I left the city yesterday morning, and I had gotten a tip that they were going to cut just Vancouver. And that original tweet that I put out there got 1.2 million views. I'm a nobody, right? I'm not verified. I do write for the Toronto Star, but I'm certainly not a household name. And that tweet says it all. And I think it's, in the one sense, I think it's a sign of the times, which is tremendously disappointing and sad. It's gutting. And as somebody who loves and listens to and continues to consume a ton of audio content, it's gutting. And for me, I think it's a massively lost opportunity. And I'll tell you why. Because I think that the label and title of radio is irrelevant. And if Rogers was smart, they would have held on to the employees and just created podcasts like you have here, right? Like, I have a podcast. You've got the talent, you've got the audience. Just record the shows as podcasts and broadcast them. So you don't want to use the radio station? Fine, go ahead. But continue to create content that consumers can access, love, enjoy, and interact with. And that's what a lot of people have done anyways. So why is Rogers walking away from that? And instead of owning it and creating a brand new, podcast platform with great people who are doing it already have an audience, people are gonna have to go out on their own. And I think that's really unfortunate.
Why is it happening? These companies make billions of dollars a year. This is in a lot of ways, part of their core business. They're heavily invested in sports. I get the way, hey, if a certain format or medium isn't working, maybe you pivot. But I still had the same question that I had for Bell and TSN when they clipped us. And I think we've proven there is a market for this. There's money to be made. My theory on this, and I'll get you take that, they just don't want to deal with the humans. The cost is too high. Well, what happens if one of them gets sick? There's benefits and all that. It really does feel like this is just simply, we are another line on a long budget sheet.
I think the bigger problem, to be completely honest with you, is you've got non-media, not radio people making radio and media decisions. And in some instances, you've got bean counters making those decisions. But you're right. If I worked at Rogers at Bell, my argument would be, I understand that you want to shut the stations down, shut them down. But don't ignore the fact that there's a massive market and appetite for audio content consumption. There just is. So it's fine. You want to get rid of a radio station, light up a podcast network. Put you guys on in Winnipeg, have these guys in Vancouver, have them on in Calgary. But don't completely gut and eliminate it. And that's what they've done. And I understand that the audiences aren't what they were pre-COVID. It was already in decline then. But nobody's shut down the newspapers, and they continually pump newspapers out. I write for the Toronto Star. So what I don't understand is the lack of energy and creativity and understanding that there is a market. And, Spitting Chicklets is the #1 hockey podcast. And with all due respect to them, the fact that it's not somebody in Canada doing that or owning that, to me, tells you everything you need to know about those making decisions on media in the year 2026.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I mean the I would imagine strong number 2 would be 32 Thoughts, and that of course is Elliot Friedman, who sort of
Right.
distanced himself from the competition by miles as the #1 insider. And Elliot's a really good person, and I saw his tweet yesterday, feeling for all of them, and I guess he quietly went and sent something in and paid for everyone's drinks last night out in Calgary, where the gang were getting together. And he was a class guy. But it seems like you've got a few of your big time guys that get paid very well and certainly have earned it. And then everybody else down the food chain, certainly to a lot of those people, as we've seen, not only it's not even replaceable, it's just simply not needed. And, I just can't understand a company, and both companies, I'll put them both together because they're basically the same. TSN did this first, although they are certainly seemingly getting more and more away from sports overall and just focusing on charging people for cell phones, is that they essentially have a monopoly of the industry here in Canada, and yet no one seems to want to do it anymore.
I mean, I think here's the bigger question is, you hear Elliot doing that, which is awesome, and a massive hat tip to him. That's a real classy move. But Elliot grew up as like a producer at the Fan, taking calls. Well, if you keep gutting these, where's that talent going to come from? Like, who's going to want to get in an industry that doesn't exist, where there's no jobs? So, if you look right now at Hockey Night, which they just lost the name to, like that whole CBC, but like there's a massive problem. Like, who's going to replace Ron McLean? Who's going to replace Chris Cuthbert? Like, who are the next ones? If you don't have environments set up for people to cut their teeth, to learn and gain experience, where are they going to come from? Where are you going to grow into? And radio is great for that. And as you said, it's inexpensive. What I just keep coming back to the same point. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but create, like, I don't know about you, but when I'm in the car, when I'm out walking, when I work out, I listen to podcasts. So I listen to 32 Thoughts. I listen to Nick Kiprios. I listen to Gregoire and Ferraro. I listen to you guys. I listen to the guys in Montreal. But I listen when I want to listen. But I'm still listening, right? I'm still consuming that content. So why is Rogers walking away from that? Why aren't they saying, these shows are great? That morning show in Vancouver was fantastic. Why force them to go somewhere else? Just keep them on, but turn them into a podcast only. So eliminate the overhead and get your same sponsors to sponsor a podcast. And if I want to listen to Vancouver at 3 p.m. Eastern, great. I can listen when I want to listen. But instead what they've done is they've just walked away from the vehicle altogether, the medium, which I don't understand.
The most stunning thing, because unfortunately this, as bad as it wasn't entirely surprising, maybe the scope of it. But when I heard last night that the Calgary Flames were completely blindsided by this and had no heads up, my jaw hit the floor. I mean, what does that tell you about? I mean, that's a major partner. Rogers owns every single piece of property when it comes to Calgary sports and entertainment, as far as I know. The Flames, the Hitmen, the Roughnecks, I believe, another team. And they didn't even get a call. And now their broadcast rights, which are held for this year, are completely up in the air. I mean, what does that tell us about the way Rogers thinks about anything that's not the Toronto Maple Leafs?
No, listen, I get it. And to me, as somebody who spends a lot of time in Toronto, and I'm very sensitive to how the rest of the country feels about us, you keep hearing that the NHL is going to expand. And the question always gets asked, what about Quebec? What about another team here or a team there? When there's no infrastructure around the marketplace, why would they ever expand into the marketplace? And you guys have the same problem in Winnipeg, right? Like, if you're not investing in the infrastructure, you're not developing fan bases, you're not giving platforms for people to listen and to engage, how are teams going to be successful? And what's strange to me is that they invest $12 or $13 billion in TV rights, and yet they cut the tails off on the radio rights. And I understand completely that people don't listen like they used to, certainly not live, but they absolutely are consuming content. The numbers for your show, the guys in Montreal, Kipper, Elliott, all those, they're doing good numbers. And, people like me and smaller folks, we generate good numbers. So people are consuming content. Why Rogers has chosen and Bell have chosen not to be in that game mystifies me.
Jonah Siegel with us. Give him a follow on X at YYZ Sports Media for more on this. Just stepping away from yesterday's news for a minute, it's so great to have you on because I've really been interested in your reporting and just thoughts on Rogers hockey production and broadcast. Listen, I thought that it was subpar a lot last year. I mean, it just didn't have the juice. It was far from entertaining. I mean, if Bieksa wasn't on, often there wasn't much reason to watch. How different is that product going to look next year? And how many of the familiar faces are probably not going to be back?
Well, everybody's contract is up. So when they signed all their deals, they all ran contiguous to the NHL deal. So everyone's now a free agent. They're going to bring back who they want. But to me, the bigger question isn't who's in front of the camera. The question is who's making the decisions at the top. Because you and I and everybody else are fully aligned that the product is, as you said, subpar. People use a different S word that you probably don't want me using on your podcast. And, you look at Amazon, you look at ESPN, you look at what others are doing, and they're fantastic. And you look at what Rogers doing and to a lesser degree Bell, and it's just same old, same old. It's tired. This is a massive opportunity for them to rebrand themselves. I think there's a huge opportunity for them to not only put fresh faces up front, but to do the production differently, to make hockey engaging and entertainment. You've got a ton of great stories about players, about families, about coaches, about trainers. Like, stop sending us to a panel after every period. They're so boring. They don't say anything. Kevin BX is your cup of tea, great, but show us and creating unique content that's really valuable. Are they going to do that? I don't believe that. And the reason I don't believe that is the people in charge seem to think that the product's really good. And they're in the minority this time.
That they are. Do you expect there to be a big turnover, though, and a bunch of new faces? Or are they basically just going to grind these people to come back and do it for less money like they seem to do in a lot of other circles?
Well, that's the challenge, is they're the only game in town, right? So my understanding is Amazon's going to redo their deal with them for what was Monday nights. Maybe that becomes Wednesday nights. Bell will have regional games. But, let's pick on Elliott because you brought him up. If you're Elliott Friedman, where else are you going to go if you want to do hockey content on television? There's not a lot of choices. So if you want to remain in hockey, instead of there being multiple platforms for you to go to, there's now one. So I think people that are on that network who enjoy covering live hockey games, they're limited in their choices and where they can go. So if they want to continue to do it, Rogers is driving the boat.
That they certainly are. Hey, just while we're mentioning Elliott, I've always been fascinated by the world of the insiders, and who gets the information, how they get it. Now, I will say this: there's probably a built-in advantage working for the national rights holder. I think that goes without saying, but
yeah.
We were just kicking this around yesterday. Like, Elliott's here. It seems like there's never been a bigger gap between him and everybody else. We had a hard time even figuring out who the number 2 guy is. But what do you make of that kind of insider war between Elliott, the TSN crew, Athletic, and others, and how it's sort of one guy and then everybody else?
Well, he seems to certainly be getting the favor of being bought and paid for by the rights holder. I'm not so sure that there's really even a need for an insider anymore. I mean, if you take a step back and ask yourself honestly, the last time Elliott broke a story, 5 minutes later, the team releases the news. So what have you really gained? You and I look like you're roughly the same age as I am. You grew up watching the Satellite Hockey Hot Stove Lounge because that's where you got inside information. Now, Elliott's on the radio 5 days a week. Kiprios has a show. Gregoire has a podcast and he's on every show. CJ's on. Apologies to anybody who I'm forgetting, but These guys all have their own platforms. They have their own shows. Nothing is ever really breaking. When somebody does actually break something, it's minutes before the team releases the news. So what have we really gained?
Well, it's funny you say that. I remember, and this is probably about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, and I was on the road with my old partner, Gary Lawless, who's now down in Vegas. And we were with Gary and a couple of the other insiders that were a little younger, and we'd had a few beers, and they were talking about who's breaking stories. And I basically said, and I was honest about it, I'm like, who cares? And they were like, not very pleased with my line of thinking. I said, guys, the minute one of you says it, it's on Twitter, everywhere else. Like, if you asked 100 people, sports fans in this bar right now, who broke whatever story, I guarantee you no one will actually know. They might guess a guy that they think, but no one will know. So I think you're right. The actual effect of it, we're getting this information so quickly right now that a lot of it is lost. And maybe that means we're getting a little less, or the companies and the state-run media, if you will, or the ones from the teams are the ones that are doing a bit better job of getting it out there.
I mean, you didn't ask me anything specific, but here's an answer that maybe you can noodle on, and that is, I think we've evolved from a place where having an inside track information to break news is diminished, and it's really more important on the analysis side. So the Jets go do something, the Leafs go do something, great. Somebody had it first, but do they actually have an opinion and a take that matters? That you actually learn something, you go, oh, I never thought about that, or I never considered this, or these are the salary implications, or oh, they played together in junior, they had this coach or that coach, or so I think that analysis has become much more important and much more relevant because the news side of it is so quick and so instantaneous.
Jonah, this has been so awesome. Just before we go, I mean, you mentioned part of the, Elliot Friedman is that he's on the radio 5 times a week. Well, they just shut down all the other stations. The Fan 590 is the iconic sports station of this country. It's the last man standing. What do you think the future is for the Fan? And maybe at the same point, TSN 1050, and of course, there's a couple other TSN stations that are still going, in my opinion, because they're already contractually tied to NHL deals. But we've lost it all out here. Is Ontario next, or because it's Toronto, because all their head offices are there, are those places and those people safe?
I'll answer differently for both. I think that the Fan is protected. I think Ted Rogers had a real affinity for radio, and I think it's his legacy to keep that station going. And as long as he now owns the Jays, the Leafs, and the Raptors, there's enough content there. But, answer a question with a question. Can you name anyone other than Nick Kypreos who has a show on Fan 590? Most people I know can't. When you look at TSN, you've got Overdrive and kind of everybody else. I don't know what the future holds for Bell and radio. I mean, Bell has made a massive decision to get out of sports. They don't own the teams anymore. They're re-upped a little bit with the CFL, which is massively important in markets like your own. But, if you take Overdrive off of TSN 1050, you're really not left with a whole lot. So the question just becomes, if you're de-emphasizing your investment, fans don't listen to your shows because you're not really putting a lot of money into them, aren't you just beating yourself into the ground?
No, it is a great point. Just on that, you mentioned Ted Rogers, who, radio was his baby. Mm-hmm. Just hearing you say that, it just still makes that decision yesterday so much more surprising that they would go that way, especially as long as they're keeping on Fan. Because let's face it, they cut enough in all those other spots, much to the chagrin of a lot of people out west. It was another platform for a ton of their now essentially national shows coming out of Toronto that no longer have that platform.
It's just unfortunate. And the production costs aren't what they are in television. And there's a lot of people, especially outside of the GTA, who really do still enjoy consuming radio content, news, talk, sports, weather, in addition to music, of course. But, they've really cut out the heart and soul of a lot of communities and how people get their information and how they interact. And I think that's tremendously unfortunate. And again, the hardest part of the 230 people that lost their jobs yesterday, a lot of them are long timers who've been doing radio a very long time. Like, what exactly are they going to do to add purpose to their lives, whatever time they have left that they need to work?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's the older people that, are like, oh, where do I start over? And then there's a whole bunch of younger people, I can tell you, that were getting paid far less than they were worth, that were grinding it out because they had a dream of moving ahead and doing something that they love to do. And, I wonder about, like, I have no idea, like, broadcasting schools, are people even showing up for that anymore? Do they still have programs? Because, like, you graduate, I don't know where the hell you go after you get your diploma.
So I do some work with the College of Sports Media in Toronto, David Lannis. I don't know if you know David. And they're pivoting. Like, they're starting to teach things like social media and how to create YouTube videos and how to create Instagram content. So the schools are doing a great job, and they're now teaching interview skills. So I think I just keep coming back to it. Consumption hasn't diminished, the where and the how. So I think, schools and outlets just have to create content and put them on different platforms to get the same eyeballs. For your younger audience out there, if I can get 1 million views on social media, so can you. So just keep at it and keep after your passions, because it's really important to all of us, because that's where the future hosts are coming from, and the producers and the technical folks. So I'm not giving up.
Jonah, listen, you have been a must follow for anyone that pays attention to this industry for a really long time. I really appreciate you coming on today. This is something that, it's sort of getting an old wound for a lot of people here. But at the same point, I think like what we've done, what Dusty's done in Edmonton with Edmonton Sports Talk, hopefully can sort of pave the way for a lot of really talented people that deserve better, and that are at a crossroads in their lives. And for sports fans, hopefully they can figure out how to find where all the content is, because to your point, the demand is there. People are listening for it. It's just a matter of getting maybe into a bit of a new routine. Thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Love joining you. A little bit of a hat tip. I didn't go on a portage, but I was at Portage in Maine not that long ago. I had to cross a portage to get here, a couple boats, some golf cart rides, but happy to see your smiling face, and happy to join you whenever you want me on.
Jonah, we appreciate you, buddy. Thanks so much.
All right, take it easy.
There's Jonah Siegel. Must follow, folks, at YYZ Sports Media on X. Really good conversation. And John Shannon's going to jump on a little later on. I mean, normally we're just talking about the ins and outs of what's happening with the Jets and the NHL offseason, and we'll certainly get to that. But I do want to get John's take on, what has happened to the industry. Murat's going to join us coming up in just a few minutes, gang. Listen, huge thanks to our friends at Princess Auto. As I mentioned yesterday, I mean, Princess Auto does so much in the city. I mean, home of the Bombers. The amount of charitable work that we don't even know is, too much to count. And obviously, they've been incredible supporters of ours as we built what we have here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. So incredible gratitude to them. But it's not a hard sell. Princess Auto, as many of you know, it is the place. I mean, they headquartered and founded right here in Winnipeg, now coast to coast. But the jewel of Princess Auto is just opened over at 500 Panet Road. The new flagship store for the entire Canadian operation is right here in its hometown of Winnipeg. If you haven't been by to check it out, what the heck are you waiting for? It's bigger, it's better, it's got more innovation than any retail store you've ever seen. And for those of you right now in the summer that like to get outside, hunting, camping, fishing, massive new departments waiting for you there. Come hungry. They got an amazing smash burger. You can get a cold one. If you bring the family, they got free ice cream for the kids. It is a special place, so go check it out. Princess Auto, the new flagship store over on Panet Road. Hey, we got some great summer weather coming up now, and this is the time to get outside and dominate. And there's no better place to dominate than going to see the Derminator and the great people up in Gimli at Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore for over 80 years. Not only do they have the best in new and used vehicles, and we're talking motorcycles, ATVs, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, golf carts, but boats, outboard motors, RVs. Never mind all the great snow machines coming up for when the snow flies, but we'll get to that later. We've also got people that have been, I think, a total of 140 years experience of the folks that'll be helping you when you get out to Chud's, and amazing financing packages as well. They were the Power Sports Store of the Year from Snowman this year, and they've got it all to conquer any terrain and have an absolute blast doing it. So take it for us. Corner of Highway 8 and 231 out in Gimli. Go see Terminator and the gang at Chud's Power Sports. And you can also check them out online at chudspowersports.com for more on their promotions, financing, and of course, the great deals over at True North Parts on clearance gear and accessories. Want to thank Terry, Dr. Terry and the gang at St. Patel Dental Center for their support of WST. Folks, if you are looking for a long-term home for you and your family to take care of all of your dental needs from start to finish, St. Patel Dental Center has been doing it for generations of Winnipeggers, and they can handle clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services, from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants. They do it all. Check out their website at stpateldental.ca. You can make an appointment and then pop down and see them at their beautiful new location, 167 St. Anne's Road, with convenient free parking right behind the building. That is our friends at St. Patel Dental Center. And no World Cup today. What are we going to do? Well, we'll make plans to saddle up for tomorrow when the quarterfinals start. And, of course, your World Cup headquarters is Boston Pizza. Incredible specials during World Cup games all tournament long. Our Canada watch parties are over, unfortunately, but the games are on the screens with the big sound. We got the big boys now with the final 8 of the World Cup. So make plans tomorrow and throughout the tournament to make it to Boston Pizza. I was checking the World Cup schedule, actually, as I was all sad that we didn't have a game tonight. Although pumped, because don't forget, we've got WST Poker tonight, 8 p.m. over at Coolbet. Top 2 finishers will get into the final for that trip to the Coolbet Open in Estonia. But we're back at it tomorrow with France-Morocco. That's a 3 o'clock game. We got a 2 o'clock game, Spain-Belgium on Friday. But Saturday's going to be awesome. Norway, England, 4 p.m. That's must-see TV. Haaland, Harry Kane. And then Messi lives to see another day after their scare yesterday. Argentina, Switzerland, 8 p.m. All those games you can watch at your local BP. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Murat Atesh on this beautiful summer day. Murat, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. Thank you for teeing up the World Cup quarterfinals. And you're right, it's an absolutely gorgeous day out. I just got home from a walk and some coffee, and I'm ready to be here, bud.
Hey, how's the Bambino?
Oh, what can I tell you? She's great. She's a great hang. We've started taking her out with us sometimes. She loves meeting people and seeing our friends and all that kind of stuff. Sleeping and eating, and this is the best thing that I'll ever do.
Well, love it. I love you're enjoying dad life, and a little bit more time with the young one right now over the course of the next couple months in the off season. But the job is never over. Development camp was last week. First impressions in person on Viggo Bjork.
I mean, he just thinks faster than everybody else on the ice. It shouldn't have made sense for an 18-year-old prospect recently drafted, and he just turned 18 too, I think in March, and he was the standout of camp. He put Colby Barlow in his pocket in a one-on-one battle drill. He created more offense than Braden Yager. He stood out with his hockey IQ all over the ice. He won battles. He threaded passes in the scrimmage through multiple layers of player. I mean, it's all pond hockey to a certain degree, other than specific battle drills and the like. It's not meant to be a projection. But if you like smart hockey players who are good at doing things that not everybody's good at doing, Viggo Bjork was an instant standout and should be a success.
He's been playing with men in the Swedish league. He played very well against elite competition at the World Championships against men for Sweden. Is it insane to think that Viggo Bjork might be able to just show up in Winnipeg and roll right into the top 6 next season?
Look, it is conceivable, and it's a conversation that we need to have, because it is possible that Viggo Bjork signs his ELC, comes to camp, excels, steps into what looks like a gaping 2C type of hole on the Winnipeg Jets lineup, if you look at it now. All of that is realistic as a possibility. I gotta say, Huss, I have plenty of time in my mind for a return to Djurgården in the SHL. Some really great, even higher drafted players like Anton Frondell did that, got drafted, and instead of making the Chicago Blackhawks team last year, went back to Sweden, played on that team with Bjork, excelled, went to Chicago when the season was done, and was great there. Same for Victor Eklund, who joined the Islanders at the end of the season. There is a roadmap for these really highly touted prospects to go back to the SHL at 18 years old and then at the end of the season make the trip. I think that would make a ton of sense for Viggo Bjork as well, being a late season Jets addition as opposed to an opening night lineup thing. The fact is, he is of quality, and he's going to be of quality whenever he makes his Jets debut.
I mean, what complicates things is that massive hole in the lineup that you mentioned. I mean, I think you can make the argument, and I mean, training camp will, I'm sure, tell us much of the story, but as currently constructed, with the excitement and hope for Viggo, there is a chance that he is the best option right now.
It's possible, and that's, I mean, in one way, that's to the Jets' discredit, but if you want to see them prioritize young players, they have the opportunity to do that. Even in like the most, you go back to the Jets do the thing that they always do. Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Gabriel Velarde as your top line, Cole Perfetti, second line left wing. Well, then there's 2 jobs open. And unless they're willing to kind of, promote Adam Lowry kind of above his typical pay grade, it seems as though in-house solutions include a big leap for Morgan Barron, which they haven't really tried at any length yet. Brad Lambert, perhaps, but more likely on that second line right wing hole. Braden Yeager, who Kevin Cheveldayoff named as a potential second line solution when I asked him about the Jets' biggest needs before the draft. I don't think he's there yet. And Viggo Bjork. Is there another one that I'm forgetting? Are they going to rearrange things and put Velarde down the middle all of a sudden? Is Perfetti suddenly going to be an NHL center instead of a left wing where he's most often played? I don't think so. So, barring a Hellebuck trade, barring a 2C, there's a group of players who would compete for that job, and there's no reason to count Bjork out of that.
Do want to mention, as we get to it, that this segment's brought to you by your Perry Toyota dealers in the Toyota Tacoma with the standard I-Force engine, boasting an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. It's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And when it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out a cinch. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Now you can lease a 26 Tacoma from $110 weekly at 5.69% APR for 60 months with $70.99 down. Murat, getting back to that gaping hole in the lineup. If it's not Viggo Bjork, the question is who? And of course, the other huge topic we've been talking about for the last month plus is the future of Connor Hellebuck. They are entwined because I think the expectation is that hole would be filled if Hellebuck is traded. What's your sense of where things stand right now as things have cooled down post-draft and free agency?
Yeah, I think cooled down is my sense of things. You got to think if teams were leading with the bidding war that turned into best offers and all those sorts of things, this deal would be long done. As everybody knows at this stage, it seems like they got really close with Buffalo but couldn't agree on the pick swap. That still looks like the most viable destination from here. Whichever players you prioritize, they appear to have a collection of potential second line centers and a Josh Norris, maybe a Ryan McLeod. I don't know. They have prospects. Radim Murtka, the 6'6" defenseman who's 19 years old, the Czech defenseman. I think that's a quality prospect. Konsta Helenius, everyone would be after. If they're in a win now mode, which they clearly look like, that first round pick for next year should be on the table. There's so many different assets that you can make sense of and come to a trade with the Buffalo Sabres if they're willing to pull the trigger on that. But like I say, I don't have a sense that anything is nearly as imminent as it seemed before the draft. And I think a lot of teams need to get punched in the mouth with goaltending problems before they start circling back to, oh my goodness, we do need help. And you've seen teams sort of rely on middling goaltending a whole bunch of times before running into problems. That might be Winnipeg's next best bet at a really good trade offer.
I'm not sure if you caught the latest 32 Thoughts kind of post free agency and all that, but it was an interesting quote from Elliott about where the Hellebuck stuff stood. And I guess the question was, can they just move on and have him come back? And he didn't outwardly say there's no way, but he did say, I have a hard time seeing that happen. If Hellebuck isn't traded by the middle of September, is he here in camp? And if he is in camp, is it icy? I mean, how we haven't seen anything really problematic happen around this team. It's been pretty, especially early on in the season. I mean, everyone's saying the right things historically. Do you think he'll be here if he's not traded? And how's that going to work out?
Hey, it's a great question. I tend to think status quo and good behavior until given a reason to think otherwise. And so in that scenario, I'm imagining he reports to camp, continuing to hope for a trade. I don't know that. It's possible that Stuart Skinner was not only Winnipeg's next starter, but insurance in that case of, okay, well, we couldn't have Hellebuck hold out and run say, Eric Comrie and Laurent Brossoit or some other type of goaltending plan. So we need a Stuart Skinner. I'm not sure. If he does return, I would continue to assume he hopes for a trade. If he does return and a trade doesn't happen, I would think that at least by next summer, when there's a 10-team trade list available to Winnipeg, another year older, another year more desperate to win before his career is over, it could hit that type of thing at some, on an infinite timeline, at some point it becomes untenable. And only Hellebuck himself right now, and perhaps those closest to him, would know what his intentions for September are should a deal not be made.
It's so interesting with the new acquisition of Suey Skins that his agent, I believe, is Ray Petkow. Yeah. Is there any world where Ray Petkow directs his client to sign with the Winnipeg Jets if Connor Hellebuck is going to still be a Winnipeg Jet?
I can't come up with that world. I mean, you look at Stuart Skinner's last several seasons are 50, 55 games. He on paper, he could be the best tandem with Connor Hellebuck you ever heard of, right? Hellebuck plays 50 games, Skinner plays 34 games, right? There's more games this year. Yeah. And you could say, hey, well, geez, if you had that in your arsenal, you'd be in a great spot. What goaltending luxuries you have. But I doubt that Stuart Skinner, with access to the world's best information about this situation via Hellebuck's same agent, would be signing for 2 years without the thought that he'd play in a starting role. So that makes what you're saying, that question makes a lot of sense to ask, I would say. The only thing stopping it is the possibility that, hey, this is out of Hellebuck's control. This is out of Ray Petkow's control. It's out of Skinner's control. Winnipeg has to arrive at a deal that it's comfortable making. Even if there's a ton of optimism that they'll get there, there's no guarantee until the moment it's agreed to and the trade call gets made.
Murat, there was work done a week ago today, and of course it was Stuart Skinner and Mario Ferraro. I'll be honest, I mean, I don't go into July 1st with all my alerts on because I think the Jets are going to be going crazy. And I don't think they ever have. But I'll be honest, considering the goaltending situation, to get Skinner at 2 years under $4 million for a year blew me away. And then to round that out with Mario Ferraro, who seems to be a big-time upgrade on your third pair left side D, I got to admit, I think this might have been the most overall productive July 1st the Jets have had maybe since coming back.
Yeah, not only did they sign multiple players, they signed multiple players for good prices who are good bets to do the job that will probably be asked of them, right? This isn't Gus Nyquist last summer. This isn't even Jonathan Toews at the tail end of his career where there's a big question mark over what he was capable of. And you got to go back, right? Winnipeg's most successful free agent signing ever was probably Matthew Perreault. And I think he scored about 40, 41 points in 62 games the season after they signed him. That was the biggest one. And now you've got these two players who are likely to be able to have some success. I like Skinner at that price point. And the fact that he signed day one for 2 years at that price point instead of waiting and exploring also contributes to the idea that probably he's confident that there's a job here. If not immediately, definitely by this time next year. Ferraro is a fun one because there's a lot of underlying numbers that say he was at times buried in his top four role for San Jose, but that team was so devoid of depth for so long, and he has the toolkit. He's got speed, he's got puck retrievals, he has a little bit of battle, a whole bunch of shot blocking, some PK, a whole bunch of PK work. He has the tools to have been a decent top four option, though not enough to solve things in San Jose when they were really struggling. As a third pair defenseman, that's a hole from which he should be able to excel, take some big PK duty as well. And then you're really not asking questions about your third pair, no matter who the other player is, whether it's Elias Salomonsson right to start the season or otherwise.
One thing that I think the Jets need to get more of is toughness. I think they do need, especially when you see what a team like Florida is bringing to the table. I mean, if you really want to compete with some of the big boys, I do think they need to have a little bit more. Now, we're seeing a premium. I mean, VL, former Moose, Dennis VL got $2.5 million by 5 years. Ross Johnston got a big deal. Jeff Malott, our old buddy. And who knows, he might be available in Anaheim. They might need to cut some salary right now. He got a 3-year deal at 1.85 and can certainly take care of himself. This is probably a hard question to answer because we didn't see him at the end of the year when we thought we would because of injury. But what do you think the chances are that Tyrell Bauer can be a depth defenseman and be on the Jets roster more than the Moose roster next season?
I mean, I am skeptical, and reasons for my skepticism include the fact that they didn't call him up at the end of last year, despite some opportunity to do that. Also, the big story for Tyrell's season was that he had gone from a player that they sort of had to hide at the AHL. He wasn't really a key player with the puck or in defensive situations prior to last season, and then he emerged as a top four defenseman for Manitoba. And as I heard, Mark Morrison was saying some real positive things about him at the end of the season. Well, that's a really good step. It bodes well for his future NHL career. It's not enough to make me think that he's an NHL defenseman here and now. I really want him excelling at the AHL level as opposed to having arrived there. The thing that is in his favor, the one thing is the fact that his skills with the fisticuffs are just unmatched on the Jets roster at a time that they really seem to need it. You had Mark Scheifele fighting for himself. That almost led to injury. And then you had Morgan Barron fighting for himself, and it did lead to injury. So if you're the Winnipeg Jets and Adam Lowry is your only guy who does that sort of thing, and he's got his hands full on the shutdown line, you probably do want help in that regard. If Salomonsson, as projected, misses the start of the season, you've got a hole on the third pairing right side. You could squint and see them giving him a really long look, giving Bauer a really strong opportunity. It's just hard for me to believe that he would defend as well and contribute as well in other areas of the game to be a more viable option than Salomonsson when he gets healthy, or even Dylan DeMello, Neil Pionk, even Jack St. Ivany, on the right side. It's just too many players who are better than him, even if he's made some really big strides.
Well, I still hope that he'll get a chance at some point, and we'll see. And listen, I fully believe that there was the full intention of calling him up last year. I mean, Cheveldayoff said as much, and that never happens. And then I think he was concussed or something like that. I mean, he had another one of his ridiculous 2-minute fights and then didn't play a number of games. So I think it was more availability because it seemed like they had it. A little bit of breaking news here. The Chicago Blackhawks have did you see that live barn thing about Connor Bedard last week where he took the spill in the offseason skate?
No, I have not.
Listen to this, dude. This morning, Connor Bedard underwent successful surgery to repair his left shoulder. We expect him to make a full recovery in an approximate timeline of 4 months.
Wow. That Chicago team is you got to get your 2 points against Chicago this year. That's for sure. If the rest of the Central is tough, who knows what's going on there with some of the trades they're making and all of that with Byram to lose Bedard. Yeah, my reaction to that is what a horrible bounce for the Blackhawks. What a great bounce for Central Division teams looking to pick up points.
Yeah, that Kyle Davidson's job just got a little bit harder, and he was already, I think, feeling some heat. Just before we go, we're going to have John Shannon. I'm looking forward to talking to him about this. How do you see things shaking out in Anaheim with the mess that Pat Verbeek has on his hands? Is that a auto match and then figure it out afterwards? Or would you consider maybe, as crazy as it sounds, walking away from Leo Carlsson at that ticket and taking the 4 first-round picks and moving on from there?
I think it's an auto match. And the reasons that I would say that is I believe that they have the budget. Even if it's not a value deal, obviously it can't be at 18 million, right? Like it's simply not something that will be cap efficient for them. They have money, they have cap space. They don't have anyone else nearly as good as that. And if you're asking whether the 4 first-round picks are going to come anywhere close to his value, they won't. Like this is a really, high-end, growing 200-foot player, and yeah, they'd have to eat it. But I don't think that their ultimate outcome would be to allow their number 1 C of the future to get poached that way. If it doesn't work out for them, if it absolutely ruins their cap position, or they don't like how it's going, or they start to question his commitment to the city and all that sort of stuff, then maybe that's a match and then trade in year 2 or 3 or something to that effect, because you can't trade him in the first year. It just, for me, to lose a player where 5 years from now you can sign him for whatever the market value is, I don't know. It's not my money, so maybe it's easy to say. I think Anaheim should have budget and probably wants to get its elbows out and say, hey, good try. We're going to do this.
Always great having you on the program. We'll let you get back to the kid and enjoying the beautiful weather. What are you cooking up at the Athletic that we can look forward to?
Well, I'm trying to project Winnipeg's roster right now, with or without Hellebuck. It's a tricky question. Obviously, it's a tricky question because you expect a 2C as part of the return, but you don't know exactly who that's going to be. But there's also, whether it's Bjork, whether it's Brad Lambert, whether it's Isaac Rosean, or even Braden Yeager, going toe-to-toe with the Nino Niederreiters and Vladislav Nemesnikovs of the world, who I continue to hold in higher esteem than it seems like the fan base does in the comment section these days. There are some really difficult decisions, perhaps for the first time in a long time, to make in that middle 6, bottom 6 kind of area, where I'm not actually, as I felt in the previous several summers, July, you could name the roster and feel pretty confident about it. I don't know. So I'm playing with a few different versions of that today.
Well, I'm looking forward to it as always, and looking forward to chatting with you next week. Murat, have a great one. Thanks so much for your time as always.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks for having me.
Murat Atesh from The Athletic. Check it out at theathletic.com, and you can follow him on X at WPG Murat. John Shannon's going to join us in just a minute. Folks, Canada may be out, but the World Cup is just getting to the good part. Quarterfinals beginning tomorrow. If you're going to hang up the red and white of Canada and maybe jump on another one of the 8 bandwagons that are still steamrolling, get on down to Royal Sports, your World Cup headquarters. They do have all the Canada gear if you've still been looking to get some. But you want England, Argentina, France. It's all there for you, including the balls they're using in the World Cup if you want to get one to kick around this summer. Royal Sports is at 750 Pembina Highway. When you pop in, check out their soccer, softball, baseball, tennis, running, and more. And, of course, a massive selection of bikes, including some really cool e-bikes available as well. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. For 50 years, family-owned and operated, Winnipeg Sports Superstore. Hit them up on Instagram as well, at Royal Sports Winnipeg, for the latest merch drops and sale information. Fish on the road this week until Friday. The weather is going to be glorious this weekend. Great time to take in a ball game. The upcoming series begins on Friday. It's boy band night. They're doing fireworks. That's a 7 o'clock start. Saturday night happy hour, 6 p.m. on Saturday against Gary. And they finish it up with Sunday Family Fun Day on 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Get your tickets today, goldeyes.com/tickets. And don't forget, as the team continues through the month, those great Tuesday night concession deals. Had a few of those $2 hot dogs last week when we were out at the ball game. And, of course, we got Assiniboia Downs back in action tonight out at the track. Remis and I will hit our picks a little bit later on in the program when we get to that after Pat joins us with the Coolbet lines. But right now, let's welcome in our good friend John Shannon, who joins us on WST. John, hope you're well. How's the summer going so far for you?
Life's pretty good, Andrew. It's tough to complain when the sun is out and it's a hot, sunny day in the Okanagan Valley.
Oh, nice. You're out west. Beautiful. What a great spot there. You and probably about half the National Hockey Leaguers, huh?
Yeah. Well, it just so happens this coincides with the BC Hockey Hall of Fame event on Saturday. So, yes, including Andrew Ladd, a former Jet, going into the hall this year. So it's a great time to be in BC.
Well, speaking of BC, I mean, I just basically saw this live as I was talking with Murat. News about a BC born and bred player, Connor Bedard, out 4 months with an off-season injury. Man, that Chicago team just can't catch a break, it seems.
No, and neither can Bedard. If you think now he's been a little injury prone, and let's hope that this time, rather than letting the shoulder mend, they do it and surgically improve it so that this doesn't become a recurring issue. Because remember, this is the same one he injured earlier in the hockey season, and try to fix it and move on. You do wonder, though, does this help the Blackhawks in a way that their fan base, who will be rolling their eyes about Bedard's injury, but will understand if the team doesn't get off to a good start, and does it buy them another year? When you think about what has to happen in Chicago and what Kyle Davidson's trying to do.
Well, I mean, does it buy Kyle Davidson another year? How much pressure is he under right now, do you think?
I honestly don't think he's under very much. I think that the ownership understands what Kyle has done and what he's trying to do. And there's a real belief in what Kyle Davidson has done. If there wasn't belief, then quite frankly, he wouldn't be there this year, I don't think. I think this is one where Danny Wirtz, the owner, really believes in what Kyle's done. And when you look at some of the moves that seem to have worked out, like the Spencer Knight deal, that's not a bad thing for what's gone on in Chicago and Kyle Davidson.
John, I hate to lean on your extensive broadcast experience, but I have to ask you, like we had deja vu yesterday hearing about our friends in Calgary and Vancouver all get whacked. I mean, it makes sense this for me. Rogers pays over $4 billion to close the MLSE deal, and then the next day essentially cuts all of their presence in Western Canada, including for two of their partners, the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. What was your reaction to all of this?
Well, first of all, I don't think that the two situations are related. I think the MLSE buy and what's happened on the media side, quite frankly, the $4 billion, $4.7 billion that they paid Larry Tannenbaum and his group for 25%, compared to the media stuff. The media stuff's like finding loose change in your sofa. comparatively. So it really, I don't think that they coincide. From a public relations perspective, I think people in the West might feel a little abused. But, Andrew, you're a good example yourself of the way people consume sports now. And the way people consume sports is on their own terms, whether it be live or whether it be in podcast form or on YouTube form on a delayed basis. Terrestrial radio is a difficult business. It's expensive to run a radio station with those giant transmitters and all that audio equipment. And then the people in situations to be on the air and in sales. So this to me is just an evolution of our business, comparable in many ways to what we saw in our country 20 years ago with newspapers. And, the name of, I hate to do a blatant plug, but the name of my book was Evolve or Die. And that's exactly what's happening now in radio and in broadcasting and in media. There'll be people, there's still a ton of sports. There's even more sports fans than ever. But how they digest that is changing. And guys like you and guys like me are finding different ways to communicate with sports fans to the detriment of terrestrial radio.
I'll say this, and I know you do lots of work with OB and have been a great addition to the Jets broadcast. And we are lucky to have in this city the Winnipeg Free Press, which is still the one newspaper that seems to send a live body to actually cover games, as well as CGOB, which is, committed, and, a combination of with the Winnipeg Jets too, to actually have their guys on the road, putting forth, a high quality radio broadcast. But out West, the Canucks have a 5-year deal. So it's apparently going to go to one of the other stations that they have and that will live. No one knows about Calgary because these stations have been shut down. There's 1 year left on that. But I guess the simple question is, what is the future for radio broadcasts of National Hockey League games?
Well, if you look at the landscape in the United States, I think there's at least 6 teams that don't have radio outlets and are strictly online, including San Jose Sharks, New Jersey Devils. They have been online for a few years now in trying to create content. Here's the thing. When we all started, not every game was televised. So radio was a necessity to cover all the games. Now every game's televised. And if I have a choice between watching a game and listening to a game, I'm going to watch the game. So the value of radio, unfortunately for those of us that are radioaholics, has been diminished. I think Winnipeg and Edmonton are unicorns in the NHL. When you think about the passion for radio, the coverage of radio in those two cities, and I think they're the two best examples. Ottawa maybe a little bit, but not like the two chorus stations that cover the Oilers and the Jets. And that's because those two stations don't rely just on sports. There's tons of other news and content that both radio stations, CGOB and CHED, cover that can justify allowing 5 to 6 hours a day, maybe on a non-game day, just an hour or two on the hockey club. But that's the only way to do it now. I think the concept of having 24/7, 365 sports and having 82 or next year 84 hockey games, it's just not financially feasible. It's just not financially feasible, and that's why we've gone the way we've gone.
I just can't wrap my head around a market like Vancouver, though, as big as it is, with the passionate sports fans that they have, not having a station. They had 2 5 years ago, and now it is 0. But, I mean, to your point, it really is sign of the times.
Sure.
The radio conversation is one thing, and I think I'm with you. I'm already been speaking with a couple of the guys from Calgary that I worked with, and it'll be interesting to see their pivot and, how they go. Because to your point, I mean, the demand is still there. Like, it's not like Calgary Flames fans stop wanting to hear about their team because they turn the signal off. They will find it elsewhere. But I wanted to lead. I mean, no one's got more experience in the broadcast game than you in this country. We were just speaking with Jonah Siegel, had a really interesting conversation on this. And then we went over, he's done a lot of writing about Hockey Night in Canada and the Rogers TV deal moving forward now that they have it. Everyone's contract was up at the end of the year. Hockey Night in Canada, as we know it, will not be the same. How different will our viewing experience be next year in Canada watching the National Hockey League on Rogers, do you think?
I don't think you'll notice the difference. I think on Saturday nights, on the Sportsnet channels, on City TV in Winnipeg, you'll get a pregame show starting at 5:30, and you'll get a game at 6. And then you'll get a second game of the doubleheader at 9. And so in many ways, yes, we will be. It's sad that those 4 beautiful words, Hockey Night in Canada, will not be part of it. And the legacy that is Hockey Night in Canada that started on radio in the 30s and on TV in 52 will disappear. But it's one of those things in a major metropolitan area like Winnipeg, it won't be a problem. The question for me is, the difference between the amount of penetration that the CBC had and the penetration that Rogers has is probably between 3.5 to 4 million homes in our country. What do those 3.5, 4 million homes do now in order to watch hockey on a Saturday night? That's going to be the biggest question, and hopefully Rogers will have found a way to get the games to those people. But this will be the first time, honestly, Andrew, ever that people will have to pay for Saturday night hockey.
Who are those 3 to 4 million homes that don't have, like, maybe I'm wrong, is Sportsnet and TSN at least like the one channel, not part of any kind of basic cable package?
Cable TV penetration in our country still is dwarfed by over the air. The old CBC transmitter that existed in every small town or every area of the province, they still work. And there are lots of people that, don't want to spend the money on cable TV or satellite TV. Their internet connection isn't as good, but there is a difference. There is a difference in what the CBC and how many homes the CBC delivers versus what Rogers delivers, which is one of the reasons why 12 years ago they went and made a deal with the CBC, because they did not, and that was Rogers and the NHL did not want to be the people that ended what Hockey Night in Canada stood for when the original 12-year contract occurred. It's taken 12 years in the making to make it happen, and I think that everybody involved, whether that be the commissioner or whether that be the people at Rogers, said, well, the blow was a little softer in 2026 than it would have been in 2014, and I agree with them.
You mentioned that it won't look that much different. I mean, the games will be on at the same times, and if you've been watching it, many of the Jets games were on Sportsnet anyways. We don't have many CBC games. What about the personnel on the broadcast? I mean, everyone's contract was up. Like, I imagine Bukauskas will be there, Elliott will be there, but do you anticipate a big shakeup with the pregame, the intermission panel? I mean, is this an opportunity, or will they take it to change up the personalities and the people that are involved in the broadcast, do you think?
Well, I don't have any inside knowledge, but I don't think so. Where would those people come from? I mean, this is a very small industry in our town, or in our country. And they have nurtured people like Kevin Bieksa, Jennifer Botterill, Kelly Rudy, Gary Galley, Craig Simpson, Chris Cuthbert. I mean, those people aren't going anywhere. It just so happens that, when Rogers did the contracts with their talent, it coincided with the end of the 12-year deal because, with simple business acumen, you'd say, well, we can't give you a new contract next year because we didn't know if we would have hockey or not. And I think, and they also, the other part of it, Andrew, is that we don't know how many games Rogers has, because when they bought the package, they bought everything. Well, they're not every Monday night is, there's a good chance Monday night will not be on a Rogers program. There's a good chance that Wednesday nights will not be on Rogers. Who knows where they're going to be? And really what Rogers has tried to protect is, what was Hockey Night in Canada and Saturday Night Hockey.
John Shannon with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Oh, man, I really appreciate your insight on that, and just everything that we've talked about, because you're an incredible source on that. I can tell you, John, that last week was development camp here. And Vigomania has taken over the city of Winnipeg. People have very quickly fallen in love and are quite excited about the newest member of the Winnipeg Jets. But I wanted to ask you just thoughts on the team right now as it sits with the acquisition of Skinner and Ferraro. I think at very, very nice terms and numbers. And of course, the elephant in the room, of which our Hart and Vezina Trophy winning goaltender is still a Winnipeg Jet, but there's a lot of noise around his future.
So I love the Ferraro signing. I think it was as good as you're going to get, very quietly. I think he fills a role on this hockey club. I don't think he was ever really appreciated for his play outside of San Jose. So the Ferraro signing is, I think, brilliant. I think Stuart Skinner, there's two ways to look at the Skinner situation. Again, I think you'll be amazed when you go in the room, Andrew, and on game day, be able to sit with Stuart Skinner and talk to him, which you can do with Stuart Skinner. I used to have my best conversations in the Oiler room with Stu Skinner on game day. And he would sit there as long as you wanted. He's got a great disposition, tremendous personality, likable guy. He will be a fan favorite quickly in Winnipeg. And he's an upgrade on Eric Comrie, right? If Connor Hellebuck stays, Stu Skinner's an upgrade on Eric Comrie. Because if you look last year at what happened to the team when Connor got hurt and had the surgery, if they had had a better second goaltender, this team would not have had a problem making the playoffs. They wouldn't have. That's a truth. So Stuart Skinner solves, I think, the problem of a second goaltender. If Connor Hellebuck gets traded, I still think that the Jets will get a goaltender back somehow, some way. And then all of a sudden, Skinner's maybe a 50-50 partner in a 1A, 1B situation for the Jets goaltending. I don't want Connor Hellebuck traded. I'd love Connor Hellebuck to honor his contract in Winnipeg. And perhaps we can spend the summer, and the Jets can spend the summer trying to make sure that the team is in such good shape that Connor Hellebuck would feel the obligation to honor the contract.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would love that to be the case, but for many reports, it is not that. But as we've seen before, and I remind a lot of people, if you listen to this program 3 years ago, it was 99% that Mark Scheifele was out of town and Connor was gone too. And then they both signed 8-year extensions on the same day. So things can change.
Well, here's the other thing I've been maintaining on our show for the last 2 weeks. These no-move contracts, isn't there part of a no-move contract that the team should be protected too? Not just the player?
It is a.
I'm asking for a friend. That's all.
Yeah, well, we're your friend right here in Winnipeg. And John Shannon. Hey, before we go, what was your? What did you say to yourself when that notification came up on your phone that the Flyers had dropped $90 million over 5 years on Leo Carlsson's lap and he signed it?
Unbelievably crazy, shockingly crazy. The two things came to mind. I don't think teams very often anymore have 4 first-round picks they can allow to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, most teams trade 1 or 2 over the duration of a 5 or 6 year window. So for the Flyers to have 4 first-round picks to to honor the contract situation, to me, was amazing. I am one of those guys. I think the Ducks won't match because I think it really sets up an issue with Cutter Gauthier. And I think that they have a few other young guys like Beckett Seneca that if it's not Karlsson, it's going to be one of their other young guys. And Pat Verbeek has to be in a position to try to maintain this, not for this year and not for this one contract, but for a 5 or 6 year period when this was one of the best young teams in the game. And if it's Leo Karlsson that they're going to lose, then it's Leo Karlsson they're going to lose.
You know what? I know a lot of people are saying this is an auto match. I'm not sure I lean your way, but I'm with you. To me, it's a major decision. Like it is not automatic. I mean, like what happens to them if they have him on? You can't sign Gauthier. That becomes a problem. They already had to basically pay double for Mintyukov what they expected to sign him for. Like this has been a nuclear bomb on the cap of the Anaheim Ducks.
And so, what we do know is that Pat is burning the phone lines up to say, okay, I'm going to get 4 first-round picks back. What can I trade to get another centerman to help me in the short term that you can get maybe 2 of those 4 first-round picks from the Flyers? I mean, I think that's good, smart business by Pat Verbeek. He's been put in a tough spot. They couldn't afford to lose both Karlsson and Mintyukov, and they couldn't afford to pay both Karlsson and Mintyukov. So to me, Pat's trying to make the best of a situation. And I think in the end, again, this is just my gut. If you look at the common sense of it, I don't think that they should match Leo Karlsson. I just don't. And what it's going to do too, it's going to throw the Flyers into a loop too. And I understand why the Flyers want to do it, because they think they're at that crossroads of being in the top 6 of the Eastern Conference. But man, oh man, there is still risk on the side of the Philadelphia Flyers with this deal.
There's no doubt about that. Folks, make sure to subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel, 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. You taking a little time during the summer, or with this, what's happening with the Ducks and the Flyers? Is the microphone calling you?
Oh no, we might take a day off here or there, but during the summer months we go down to 2 days a week. So we'll be every Thursday, every Tuesday for the rest of the summer, and then be back up at 3 by Labor Day.
Love it, John. Hey, hope you have a great time out in BC. Give Andrew Ladd our best, and appreciate the time as always. We love having you on the program, and hope you're enjoying the couple months, because the season's going to be here sooner than we think.
The off season, I don't think there is such a thing as the off season anymore, Andrew. So we'll just keep on plugging.
Have a great day, John. Thank you again.
Cheers.
You got it. There's the one and only John Shannon. 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon. Subscribe today over on YouTube. Last one, they sort of unpacked all the player movement of last week with Scott Burnside, and talked to Doug Armstrong on his new role in St. Louis. Great stuff with John. Hey, I want to thank our friends at Aikens Lake. Man, they're having a great summer, and much needed after everything that happened last year with the forest fires. The fish are still big, and they're still coming out. Man, the social feeds have been amazing. If you're thinking about an incredible world-class fishing experience where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, including a short flight, Aikens is the spot. And as great as the world-class fishing is, the hospitality, it might be even better from the Aikens team and the Tarrant family. Check them out online at aikenslake.com and all their socials for more on Aikens Lake and availability at the end of this season and booking now into 2027. We're going to chop up the Scottish Open with Pat Gregoire in just a moment, but do want to wish all the young golfers well right now as the Manitoba Junior goes on. We'll get a report on that for Breezy Bend in the coming days as that tournament finishes up. But speaking of Breezy, if you're thinking about making a golf course a long time home for you and your family, and you're thinking about one of the province's top private golf courses. Breezy Bend is that spot. Amazing junior, women's, men's nights, programs, and more. An incredible social scene. And a course that is absolutely immaculate right now. Check out breezybend.ca for more information on membership and the upcoming golf season. All right, Patty's ready to go. We got poker tonight, 8 p.m. That's what we're doing instead of watching World Cup. Before Pat comes in, though, let's get a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's welcome in Patty on the pitch himself, Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. And Pat, I was saying, like, when we were putting the schedule together for the WST Summer Poker Series, leading to sending somebody to Estonia for the Coolbet Open, I will admit I did not check the World Cup schedule, but I will Barry Horowitz myself right now with the pat on the back that we've got something to do tonight at 8 p.m. because I do feel lost without the World Cup today.
You couldn't have nailed it perfectly. Like there's nothing going on, even if you're a Jays fan. Like they're playing a game right now. They're on a travel out day from San Francisco. This is the perfect night to have it. We've already got, it looks like 3 or 4 different users already signed up. I think after last week's or last couple weeks ago, round number 1, I think we're going to have a good showing here. And as you should, because you guys have pumped it up. I know Jake has pumped it up. This is an awesome trip, an awesome opportunity. I mean, you're getting your flights, your hotel, your entry to this poker event. And there is so much more than just poker going on in Tallinn, Estonia. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people saw what we'd done with myself and Hammer being in Costa Rica last year. But this one, I mean, I've seen, stuff on the group chat when you guys have been there before, and it just looks like such a cool place to go. We're right across the sea from Finland. Maybe jump on one of those little cruises for a night, head over to set foot in Helsinki and come back. But the bottom line is, I mean, the tournaments have been so much fun as we've grown this over the last while. So if you are a poker player, tonight, 8 o'clock, what you're going to want to do is go over to Coolbet. On the main page, you'll see poker. Click on that. Once the poker software comes up and you get logged in, click on tournaments and then look for WST. There's a little magnifying glass. If you just put in WST, it'll be the only thing that pops up. Pop in, get in there for the tourney. We got the bounties on myself and Hammer and Reem and the top 2 players tonight. I know last time the way it was set up, we had a bunch of people come in. It was a bigger tournament than we kind of expected, and it added a couple tickets. But tonight, it's the top 2. The top 2, everything else will run as normal. But if you finish heads up, you're in for the final in the second week of August. And then it's on your way, hopefully, to Estonia to represent Canada and Coolbet with the best in European poker. Patty, so far, the World Cup, I mean, I know we're not soccer guys 12 months a year, but, I mean, this has been as much fun as I've had in watching sports daily that I can remember. I mean, Jake and I obviously were there, and it was incredible being at some of the games, but it's going out to the pub with a bunch of friends or just being around fans of another team that really care about a game that maybe you got $20 on. It's been so successful. The games have been so fun. I don't want it to end. No, I don't either. It's been so much fun. The fact, like today, like I don't know about you, man, but I've been just moping around the house here. Like my mood has been off because we don't have midday football to bet on and to watch. Like as someone who works from home, in my office here. There's a TV directly in front of me, and I've just put on the matches. And, yes, it's great because, not much is going on. Sure, we've got the CFL. Sure, we've got the dog days of summer with MLB. But the fact that this is a unique tournament, it's not like, March Madness, which is one of my favorite events, where it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then you got to wait a couple of days, and then it starts back up again. Round number 2, Thursday, Friday. Like, this is nonstop, wall-to-wall action. During group play, it was like 3 to 4 matches, and then it gets to the knockout stages, and you're getting at least 2 matches. It's been unbelievable, to say the least. But the fact of the matter is, it's been great soccer as well. The superstars have showed up in droves, and just the crazy outcomes, like especially the last, I want to say 3, 4, 5 days, the amount of goals that we've seen in extra time, whether to extend games or for teams to win. Like, I don't know how many times, Huss, in our group chat, we've said game of the tournament, match of the tournament, because it just seems like every game, every match, once a day is up for an all-time classic. You think of Argentina yesterday. You think of even Mexico, USA a few days ago. The Senegal, Belgium game. Like, there's just banger after banger after banger. It's been unbelievable. And I'll say it, as a casual, it has drawn me in. I think it's great for the game. I think the growth here in Canada, we're certainly going to see it. But I had the opportunity to go to BC. Oh, sorry, I don't want to get in trouble. Vancouver Stadium to watch that Switzerland game. That was, a bucket list item. Like, I was in tears during Canada. You saw, in Toronto for that first match. Unbelievable stuff.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. The anthem, and I still have a video, and I went back and watched it afterwards, and I just sort of casually mentioned it, but I'll be honest, that was as emotional as singing of the national anthem I think I've ever been a part of. Like, more so than representing Canada and Qatar, like having it here and being a part of it, and seeing how much it means to everyone was something that that frankly I'll never forget.
And the thing on that too, I just want to mention as well, because I think we're hearing about it, and the people that do have the boots on the ground are talking it as well. And yes, it's great to see that Canadian national pride. But if you're in Vancouver or if you're in Toronto and you're around these watch parties, like, you feel like you're in another country. Like, Colombia took over Vancouver yesterday. It just has made the world seem so much smaller, and in a place that sometimes feels so toxic, and with things going on, conflicts across the world, and sometimes you lose faith in humanity. This is what sports at the end of the day is all about, bringing people together. And I know there was a lot of worry about, travel and what's going on south of the border. I think this has been an absolute smashing success. And I really do hope that Canada, US, and Mexico have an opportunity to host this event sooner rather than later, because I think it's just been so fantastic.
Well, they made so much money from this one. I think we can pretty much book that 12 years from now it's going to be back here. Give me a Coolbet line for that, because I will be on the yes. I will be on the yes. Speaking of those lines, so we're down to 8 teams. This is the way things look right now. If you go to the futures for the World Cup, France is the favorite. They're under 2-1 right now. It is plus 188 for the French, who are the favorites. Spain is 4-1. I'm a little surprised. I haven't been that impressed by Spain. They have been, listen, they've got the job done. They are into the quarterfinals, but they have not looked maybe like World Cup champions. Argentina plus 425. I can almost say the same thing. I mean, they've had some incredible theatrics and a comeback for the ages. But, I mean, do you think a World Cup winning team is going to be down to Egypt 2-0 with 10 minutes left in the game? I don't know. England, I think, has been full marks. I mean, that win in Mexico on Sunday night, maybe the most impressive of the tournament, considering what they were going up against with the altitude, with the fans, against a strong Mexican squad. And then you've got the gap. And interestingly enough, Norway, and maybe this is just because so many people are horny for England, Norway was 14-1 yesterday. They're actually 16-1 today. And I mean, if anyone's watched the Norwegians play, they just knocked out the legendary Brazil squad. This team is not going to be an easy out. The Norway-England game Saturday afternoon is going to be phenomenal. Norway's 16-1. Then Morocco is 30-1. Belgium 35-1. And Switzerland 40-1. By the way, here's just a little tip. I do see that the winning continent odds are up. UEFA minus 833, CONMEBOL 400. Rest of the world is 33-1. There's a little hack, but I think if you like Morocco, bet rest of the world because Morocco's the only team that is rest of the world.
Yeah.
So you can get a little bit better of a number. But Patty, if you were, I mean, now we're neutral. We're free agents after Canada has been knocked out. Is it England or Norway? I mean, to me, England or Norway are sort of where, I mean, I could see the Norwegians being an issue and potentially having a chance to win if you're looking for a bit longer of a shot. And I certainly think of that group. If you think someone other than France can win, I would make an argument that the English at 5-1 might be the best place to put your nickel.
I think from an actual, when you look at the road and when you look at the way that they have played, I think England is probably the best value at that. I shouldn't say best value, but the best number, the most, I don't even want to say realistic because, I mean, if we've learned anything can happen. And I think there are a lot of really good teams, but you mentioned it. Argentina really hasn't had the toughest path and they have still struggled. And maybe now that they're going up against a really gritty Switzerland team, which I think, like, there's some people clowning online about this Swiss team, but I think they're incredibly strong. Like Norway, can't count them out, but I do think on paper England is the better team. And if you told me a couple of matches ago, England, would you be thinking about them? Probably not, but I think they're a team that's trending in the right direction. They're getting better as this tournament has progressed. What's staring at me in the face, though, is you mentioned this nation, Morocco. And listen, realistically, are they going to beat France? I don't know. I think France is by far and away the best team here. But with the way that Morocco plays, with their goaltender, for me, I just think if they're able to knock off France, I almost look at that game as whoever wins that game maybe wins the World Cup, to be quite honest. That's just kind of where I'm leaning. I think England would probably be your safest play, but if you want to talk about true value, I think Morocco, has to be there. I think that would be, at least a little bit of a fun sprinkle. Just look at the number; it's crazy. Are they that much worse than France? Like,
no, and people are completely forgetting the fact that Morocco was in the 3-4 game last year. I mean, a lot of these guys have been here before. I've been to this point in the tournament, and they're going to be ready. I mean, that's not going to be an easy game for the French right now. So again, head on out, and you can get to the World Cup futures right now over at Coolbet before things get going tomorrow. As far as the games go, the France-Morocco game is tomorrow. The French minus 167, draw 3-1, Morocco plus 575, and the number on Morocco to qualify, to move on, whether it's penalties or whatever, plus 335. We got the Spanish that are a big favorite against the Belgians, who look great in kicking the U.S.'s ass, minus 156 for Spain. The draw is plus 310. Belgians plus 490. England minus 110. The Vikings of Norway plus 320. A draw is plus 280. And then the Argentines against Switzerland. Argentina minus 139. Draw plus 250. Switzerland plus 490. I got to tell you, I mean, this Argentina team feels like they've got 9 lives and they've gone through 8.5 of them. I'm very interested to see that one. And at least Saturday, we do have a doubleheader too. 4 o'clock our time, 5 out your way, and then 8 and 9 p.m. for the Argentina-Switzerland game. So we still will get one more doubleheader in this World Cup. If we head over to the exclusives, a couple things to get to. First of all, Hammer and I, new CFL 110 is up, brought to you by Coolbet. Check that out if you haven't already. The WST parlay for the weekend is live. We kept the Bomber game out of it, still waiting to find out what the quarterback situation is. We're taking Edmonton minus 6.5, Calgary plus 3.5 in Montreal, and the Riders minus 8.5 against Ottawa. When I put that one in myself, it was plus 581. Patty and the guys have been very nice with the boost. Plus 675. You're not seeing a better number than that anywhere. Get on that in the exclusives. Pat, before we get to Scottish Open and some quick picks on the way out, Conor McGregor is back this weekend. And listen, there are a lot of people that'll just blindly bet McGregor because they love the guy. If you're going to do that, get to the exclusives. He's plus 185 on the line. He's plus 215 over in the Coolbet exclusives. But we're back. We're counting down to the Open Championship. And you know what happens before the Open? The Scottish Open, where my guy Chris Goddard kind of got this incredible year he's had run started last year by winning. How about that 62 last weekend to win the John Deere? A lot of the top dogs are here getting ready for the Open Championship next week.
How about all the live guys are all here too now, because it's also a DP World Tour event. So we really here, Huss, are getting a little appetizer to the Scottish Open. And I know there is a lot of history, like, you don't want your golfer, playing really well leading up to a major, winning or coming close, because then you're like, oh, damn, there's no way they can put that back to back. Historically, though, like guys that are sniffing around at the Scottish usually end up playing really well the next week. So this is something that you're going to want to pay attention to, not just for this tournament, but go to the US Open odds as the weekend progresses, because if a player that you like has a good week, that number is going to drop more than you would see at other events, just because of the correlation between these courses and just the fact that we've seen this year after year.
That is a great point. Yes, the Open Championship odds are also up in the golf section. Scotty's the favorite at plus 550. Rory's 9-1. Rombo 14-1, 18s on Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Xander Schauffele, 20-1 Ludwig Oberg, 25-1 on Goddard. I think that's come down. I kind of wish I'd touched him a little earlier in the week.
Me too.
Wyndham Clark, Tyrrell Hatton, Robbie Mack, all 28-1 in the exclusives. If you like Hatton, Mayo's got a 40-1 up. That's a no-brainer if you like Hatton. 33 for Vic Hovland. And then a group at 40, including Cantlay, Hogard, Minwoo Lee, Justin Thomas, before a large group of 50s. Patty, what's the card shaping up like for the Scottish Open?
Listen, a lot of, when you think of the Scottish Open, a link style course, a seaside course, even though like there really isn't anything in play, what you're going to want to worry about, and in a lot of link style courses, it's those bunkers. But on this course, there are opportunities and advantage to guys that can bomb it off the tee to like avoid those bunkers and really get aggressive to start attacking some pins. And just especially over the last couple of weeks at years at the Renaissance Club, we've seen bombers do really well. With that being said, my card actually starts with a guy, hits it pretty well off the tee, but not a quote unquote bomber. He has been on an absolute heater. Wyndham Clark, 28-1. He's played really well here historically. We talked about some, here's one of the best follows. I know you follow him. Justin Ray. He had this beauty nugget yesterday. Best cumulative score to par at the Genesis Scottish Open the last 3 years. Rory minus 42. Robert McIntyre minus 30. Those are both guys that have won this tournament over the last 3 years. Nikolai Hogard at minus 29. Your guy, minus 27, Tom Kim, and then Wyndham Clark minus 26. He's played this event 4 times. He's never finished outside of the top 25. And then you take in obviously the course history, But like I mentioned, he has been on fire as of late. Finished 11th or better in 5 straight starts, including 2 victories, 7th in strokes gained total, 16 in approach to green, 9th in around the green, 25 in putting. And as I mentioned, he's not a huge bomber, but he's still inside the top 40 when it comes to driver distance. Do I think he's probably a little more live next week? I would certainly think so. But as I mentioned before, if you play well here, you're probably going to play well next week. So at that number, 28-1, it didn't really make sense to me, considering you could argue he's been the hottest golfer with the exception of a few other guys like Goddard up there. I already mentioned his name in that stat, but I'm going to go with Højgaard, 40-1. He's been unbelievable at this golf course. And it's been an up and a down struggle for him. It's like he's either in contention and he's mixing, or he's completely out of it. But it's at these courses where he can use that driver off the tee. He can use his length. That's where he really shines. Finished T4 last year, T6 back in 2023. He's 4th in driving distance. And as I mentioned, when he is playing on these courses that you can get an advantage with that long driver, that's usually where I'm going to go. You mentioned Tyrell Hatton. I'm going to go with him just because that number that you can get at Coolbet for his boost with the PME exclusive, that's a no-brainer. So those are the only live bullets I have right now, Huss, and I have a feeling maybe one of these guys might be there. Maybe you can convince me. But 3 guys who I've highlighted and potentials are Alex Fitzpatrick, Patrick Reed, and the aforementioned former champion, Robert McIntyre.
Yeah, Bobby Mack at 28-1 is interesting because he can nuke it. It's his home Open. I mean, it means a lot more to him. I mean, outside of winning the Open Championship, this probably is right there with the rest of the majors for Bobby. You mentioned Tom Kim. And I'll be honest, Pat, I was shocked. Like, he's played well lately. He's got this great course history. When I went to bet Tom Kim, and I think I had seen like 40, 45 at some spots. I just need to double check this. 66-1. And I mean, is there a more fun guy to cheer for in golf? I don't think so. So I'm in on Tom Kim. I mentioned Goddard, defending champ, just won last week at the John Deere, has won, I think, about 5 times over the course of the last calendar year. He's got such a complete game. Playing well, why the hell not? And even if he's 4 or 5 strokes behind, look what he did last week. He is known to have sizzling 4th round, so he ain't over until it is done. The other guy that I do, like, just closer to the top of the board, if you're looking at one of those favorites, I do think there's value on Xander at 18-1. He's another one of those complete players that can do it from off the green. You know, the putter's got to be working, obviously, and he'll be getting ready to go, but he's also a bit of a big game hunter, and I think he's getting ready to make moves at the Open Championship. So a little bit of Xander at 18-1, Tom Kim at 66, Goddard up at 25, and I will have a piece of Bobby Mack at 28, in addition to Tyrrell Hatton at 40-1. Patrick, as always, a pleasure. Anything else that we need to touch on before we say goodbye for the day?
Just 2 quick ones. One, you mentioned it's in the last 24 starts, Goddard has 4 wins. And I think in the last full calendar year, it's only been Rory and Scotty Scheffler with more wins. Like, I think we need to legitimately talk about this guy being one of the best golfers on tour. And last thing is, do we quickly build I know we're running on time here, but do we quickly build a parlay here, or do you want to do that offline?
No, let's do it. Let's do it right now.
I've got my quickly. I'll quickly let you know so we don't have too much crossover on my
of course.
Greggy's golf special. I went with Rory and Wyndham Clark top 20. And then I went over to the ISCO championship. And I've got Max Homa to win. So if I think he's going to win, which that line moved on me, I think he was like third. Now he's the outright favorite there. But for him to finish in the top 20 in that tournament, boosted from plus 575 up to plus 670.
We're both high on Goddard. Why don't we go with Goddard top 20?
Yep.
I would like to put Tom Kim in it. I mean, it'll be a better number, but I mean, the guy owns it. So if we go Goddard, Tom Kim, who do you want? Do you want to go Højgaard? Do you want to go Bobby Mack from one of your picks?
Well, you said you liked Bobby Mack here as well, and I just Højgaard, it's just too Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
I would hate for the folks to lose out here. I don't see Bobby Mack not, at least mixing come Sunday at his national tournament, a tournament that, outside of Rory McIlroy, he's played this golf course better over the last 3 years. So let's go with Bobby Mack.
I love this one. I mean, this might be my favorite Sunday Sweat Club conglomeration we've had in a long time. Scottish Open, the Tartan Army out to support Bobby Mack, Tom Kim, and Chris Goddard. Top 20s for those three. We'll get a number up, and we'll have that either in the combo cards or the exclusives very shortly. And hopefully next week, we're on a bit of a heater with a nice looking account heading into the Open Championship. Pat, great stuff as always. Again, folks, join us tonight for the poker tourney. Your chance to qualify for the final. If you're one of the top 2 players tonight, you'll get a ticket for the final to go to the Coolbet Open, taken care of by our friends at Coolbet. Hotel, flights, entry into the main event, and more while you're in Estonia. So join us tonight, 8 p.m. Go to Coolbet, click on poker. Then once you're in, get into tournaments and search WST. The cards are dealt at 8 p.m. And good luck taking that $100 bounty off my head and the hammer. Pat, one more sleep till we're back with the soccer, and that should be a great one tomorrow. France and Morocco. You have a great one, pal. Thanks so much. And by the way, I always say this, but with what happened yesterday in Calgary and Vancouver, I'm not sure if you caught the show, but I'll tell it to you straight. The support you guys have given us since day one of this has been integral. We would not have been able to do it without you to be where we are right now. So from myself, from Michael, but also from everyone watching this, a sincere thank you to you guys for being such incredible partners. And here's to many more years together as we continue to grow in our new spot. And thinking about all our friends in Calgary and Vancouver that are now at the crossroads we were at about 5.5 years ago.
Yeah, listen, obviously yesterday was a really crappy day for a lot of folks. And, you guys were there. So I think you guys are proof that, there is a format for it. We are so happy and honored to be alongside for the ride and continue to be alongside for the ride. I think, you guys are on a rocket ship and still have such a great trajectory. And there's a lot of talented folks that, are without jobs or don't know what to do. And hopefully they take that path that you guys took. I know it's not easy. It's a lot of man hours. It's a lot of work and a lot of commitment from everyone. But I think you guys, the EST guys, a lot of folks, but you guys were the trendsetters. Let's be honest. You guys were the first ones to take that risk. And, I think it's really admirable. And like I said, we're proud to continue to support you guys. So just sending my best there, but just keep your chin up because that there could be better days ahead. That might be that day that feels like it's the worst day ever. Might be, just the start of a path that could take you to some amazing places.
Yes, and you won't have to deal with Rogers anymore while you're doing it. Have an awesome one, pal. Let's get it on the Scottish Open this week, and I'm looking forward to Patty on the pitch tomorrow. Check the exclusives and the combo cards, and of course your social media for the next ridiculous face swap of Pat's head on an international soccer star. Have a great one, pal. Thanks again.
Thanks, us.
Good stuff. And there's Comet. Thanks, Coolbet, for sponsoring the show. Absolutely appreciate that, guys. Let's get into it. Oh, Comet for the win. Has Huss ever discussed his actual betting volume on a daily basis? Just curious. It all depends. It all depends. I mean, on a day like this, I'm going to have a couple sprinkles on the golf for sure. Not much else. I missed the Blue Jays game, so that'll sort of be it. I mean, during the World Cup, this is usually the time where it's slight. Now, you talk to me going into an NFL weekend, but I mean, listen, the one thing we always say, and one thing they do a great job of is, it's got to make sense. I mean, I'm not rich, so I'm not doing triple figure bets. I'm putting $20 on games. 25 is usually my usual unit, and that works for me. I've been lucky enough to have a really good year, and I've had a few nice withdrawals, but I haven't changed anything when things go well, and that's important. I mean, it's got to be fun, and the numbers that whatever you're betting got to make sense for you. So there you have it. Great stuff with Pat today. Let's get Remo back in here. Remis, that is crazy news about Connor Bedard. Just quickly, thanks for getting that to it. I mean, the people in Chicago, I haven't been online at all, but I'm sure Blackhawk fans are just freaking out right now.
Yeah, that is not a good news for Chicago, and he's an RFA, so I'm curious if that is going to affect his next contract. I don't think that it should at all. He's still a young elite talent, but Chicago, man, they're going to be very bad again. And what's the way out for this team? And when is it okay? These guys need to start being good, because Connor Bedard, his ELC, it's done, and that's when you have the most value, when you have a player like that on an ELC, and they just don't have anyone around him. Tyler Bertuzzi had a really good season. Frank Nazar, who had a good year 2 years ago. He signed a long-term deal, but wasn't great last year. Frondell is in now. But this team, Huss, and you got Byram now as your number one D, who's never been a number one. It seems not going to be good. And I don't see a path out. Now, they have a lot of picks. They start sending those for real NHL players. Do they go look to help a team like Anaheim get out of cap trouble, going for Killorn or Kreider or Vetrano? But it's not good for Chicago, and the Central's getting better, and they're getting worse. And this has been a while here for this rebuild.
No, I mean, listen, at least this happened in the offseason, and he's not missing 4 months of the year. But as Cole Perfetti and Dylan Sandberg will tell you, obviously with different injuries, just picking up a month into the season when things have been going is difficult. And listen, that just sucks for the NHL. Definitely sucks for the Blackhawks. But we'll see what he can do. And at some point, he's going to need a contract, and that's going to get signed while he's hurt as well. Let's get to the track before we finish up today.
Yes.
I was 0 for last night. I did not do a very good job with my picks. What about you?
I had one winner, so I was even. I said I did a chalk trifecta box, just did program selection, AI smart picks. They were the same, so I said, this must win. And it did. So my $1 box, $6 total bet won me. It was a little less than 20, $19.50 or something. So I just won all my bets back. So I finished even. I'll take it from yesterday at the Downs.
Yes, no doubt about it. All right. Well, you're hot. You're up. What do you got today for us?
Yeah. One sec here as I try to bring myself up. Okay, I am on race 3, 4, 5, and 7. Race 3, I'm on horse 7 to win. I had to go with Main Dude, Huss. I had to do Main Dude.
Love Main Dude.
Big fan of Main Dude. Not the favorite in this one, but it's just Main Dude. I mean, come on. That's enough said there. Race 4, I'm going with the trifecta box 5, 6, 7. A little off from the program selection AI smart pick. So that's Legata, Salvier, Indietta, and Regal Rumor. So sorry, not Regal Rumor. Low Euro Cat. My bad. Is 5. Low Euro Cat, and then race. What is it? 3, 4, 5. I am on horse 3 to win. Messi the Great. It's a World Cup season. Argentina pulling off some crazy comebacks.
This horse is going to be like 10 lengths down at the turn and is going to somehow win the race. Kind of like what they did yesterday in Atlanta.
Messi the Great. Still, yes, of course. And race 7, I'm going with a longer shot here. Exacta box 1 for Oregon County and Kate's Princess.
Ooh, Kate's Princess has always been a good one. All right, I'm starting off on number 2. I'm actually making 2 bets on this one. I'm putting $2 on number 2. I couldn't resist to support Out Too Late. Been known to do that many times, so I'm going with Out Too Late to win. And then I got a $1 tractor box on Out Too Late, number 2, number 3, Spin the Breeze, and number 5, Smoocheroo. Or Smoochero, depending on how you pronounce it. Race number 3, I'm going $3 on Conspiracy Theorist, one of my favorite horses at the track. Race number 4, I'm going $3 on number 4, Regal Rumor to win. And then I'm finishing it up in race 5 with a $1 tractor box. You mentioned there's no way Messi the Great wasn't going on the card today. We're going Messi the Great along with number 5, Flipping Fish, and number 1, Finding Ways. So a 1, 3, 5 tractor box on 5. And if I had another toonie, I would put it on Messi the Great, I think, to win. Post time tonight is 7:30 p.m. at the Downs. You can bet at hpibet.com if you want to do it from home and watch on YouTube. But the best way to do it is to get your butt down to Assiniboia Downs. Free admission, free parking, always a great time. And don't forget, next week, Monday, went racing as well. They've got the great concession specials and Wiener Dog racing. I am planning on being there next Monday to see that. Remo, fun show today. I mean, I know it's sort of the dog days of summer right now. No real big hockey news. We're not a lot of Bomber news as we have a closed practice today and are waiting for more information on the quarterback situation for the Bombers heading into Friday's game. Tomorrow will be the walkthrough. So we should have some info tomorrow on the program. And then, of course, a big game day. But great work setting up today, John and Jonah. I thought both the radio conversation was really interesting, as well as a couple guys that know a thing or two about broadcasting, talking about just the way we're going to consume the TV product next year.
Yeah, shout out to John and Jonah joining us while they're on their vacations. Jonah, I don't think he was kidding where he said he had to portage to his Wi-Fi spot there in Algonquin Park in north of Toronto. But tremendous insight, and people do care. People found us here, and hopefully for Canucks fans and Flames fans and sports fans in those cities, something will pop up where you can have that connection. And it'll be much better than it was when owned by the big corporations. So, think I saw Halford and Bruff put out statements today. Loved talking with them on the old station and a number of other personalities as well. But shockwaves through the season, not just sports content, but also news content too. And I saw Halifax had Mooseheads put out their station that they broadcast on was shut down. Kitchener as well had some stations removed, and these are lifelines for the communities to get information, and we'll have to see what comes of it. But thinking of everyone affected there over the bit.
Yeah, and listen, a special, you mentioned Jonah, he wasn't kidding. If you go to he's got this beautiful good night photo of wherever the heck he was. But yesterday he tweeted out, PSA, I know many are trying to reach me, but I'm in Algonquin Park celebrating what would have been my mom's birthday. Happy to chat when back Thursday. But he still had time for us today. So huge thanks to Jonah for making that happen today. And of course, a big thank you to all the sponsors that continue to make WST your go-to spot for daily sports here in the PEG. It is our pleasure to do it. We appreciate the support of the sponsors and all of you for listening to the podcast or hanging out with us live on YouTube or watching the YouTube show later on after it's broadcast in the afternoon. We'll be back tomorrow on tomorrow's show. Hopefully I'm talking about a big poker victory for myself. Good luck coming after me tonight. But what do we have tomorrow? We've got Ben Grant. We will dive into the Argos, who will be here on Friday. Ben Grant, a great, great guest for CFL. One Ken Wiebe will also join us. And we mentioned Conor McGregor returning to the Octagon. That's all I needed to hear. Aaron Bronstetter is going to join us. He was interviewing McGregor, I think, yesterday. Can't wait for that. And our pal Michael Grajewski from Travel Manitoba is going to come on. Now that the heat is here, some great options in the city and around the province. And around the province to beat the heat. So it's going to be a real fun one. And then, of course, a game day edition. Dusty's going to join the program on Friday. Hammer will be here as well, returning. Ed Tate. So we are going to be all in on the Bombers and Argos on Friday as we get closer to game time. That's going to do it for us today, folks. You all enjoy the weather. Join us tonight for poker at 8 p.m. if you're able to. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Have a good one.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.